Thought I'd go ahead and give you guys an update. Put that bearing in there, throwout bearing and all that, and absolutely no noise. It is quiet shifting. It shifts nice. I'm really tickled with the way it shifts. The carburetor, I didn't have the choke set, and as y'all know, it's set it, then you have to wait for it to cool down, try to set it again, wait for it to cool down. So this is going to be a long process, but I am very close. I think my one setting on the side for the fast idle is really working out good. So I'm just going to have to keep adjusting on this for a little bit. But got my Oldsmobile in here. As you know, I just changed the intake gaskets on it a couple weeks ago. And I hurried up and got it out of the garage. I took it down the road and the timing was off. It wasn't off a lot, but it was enough to make it give a little pop. Now, I brought it back in and I just reset the timing on it. It was off. I used the timing light and everything. Now it's right on where it's supposed to be. The Firebird is all set now. I've got, like I said, I have to drive this down the road and make sure everything's fine. But I brought my Buick in. Driving the Buick, every time you hit a bump, this right rear would make a noise. So I started taking it all apart. And I'm thinking, right there is my problem. See the bare, shiny metal? My spring isolator was just destroyed. This one, almost the same. Down here's my isolators. These are like, keep the noise down from the spring so it's not metal, rubbing on metal. But it was, as you can see, the paint's worn off. It was rubbing, it was hitting. So I'm pretty sure this was my noise on this side of the car. I thought at first it might be the brakes, so I took it apart, nothing in there. The wheels were all tight. Thought, well, maybe it's the shocks. Checked the shocks, they're all tight. So that's not it. And then when I looked up there and seen that isolator torn apart, I figured that's what it is. So I'll get some isolators ordered, get these springs back in and see if it still makes a noise or not. Well, there's my old ones like I showed you. There's the new ones. Actually a Moog part. How about that? My local parts store was able to have these today. Shipped from another store. Those are a lot better than these. All right, back in business. That's cool. All right, I'm gonna continue working on my Buick here. Right now, I'm just gonna get it up in the air. And my plan is to remove the bottom bolt for the air shocks. Okay, we got it up there. I said I'm going to remove those bottom bolts. Give you a shot what we're doing here. I'm going to take these bolts off so I can remove this air shock. Not remove it, but loosen the bottom of it. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And that way this rear end will do a little pivot. And I can put those springs back in there. Okay, I got those shocks removed from there. And here's the reason why I did that. This rear end will float, so you can put those coil springs back in. Like, you can actually see it. That'll give you the extra room to put that coil spring back in there. Okay, I thought I'd show you how these actually work here. So these are like isolators or insulators, whatever you want to call them. All they do is sit right on top like this. All they do is sit like that. This will go up in that housing. And to go ahead and show you how the other end fits, pop up here. You can see where that bare metal was. This end will go around there. Then that coil spring sits on there and sits here on this little perch. So coil spring go here, goes up here to dampen the noise. So we're gonna put these springs back in. You can see how that rubber insulator goes in between the body and the spring. It's up in the hole like it's supposed to be. So that's good to go. I'm gonna put the other side in just like that, and I'm gonna put these shocks back on and put the brake drums, wheels back on, and we are done. Okay, there they are. Nice in. It turns a little. This one over here. They're now in. That ought to keep the noise down back here. I think I'm gonna repaint my drums before I put them back on. And I'm gonna call this done. So it's good to know now the Buick's finished. Try to hit the circuit again. The Oldsmobile's done, it's ready to go. And the Firebird's all done. So these 3 cars, all the little odds and ends are fixed. And all right, hit the car shows. This is the end of August, so all the shows are gonna be the end of this month, next month mostly, so these should get out and get some exercise. Hey, you just watched the video of me replacing some coil spring isolators, insulators, whatever you guys want to call them, and it really didn't take care of that little noise back there. I still don't know what it is, but like I told my wife, it's nothing major. I thought for sure that was it. It's not as bad, so it could have been a little bit of it. I don't know. But I thought I'd touch base on a couple other things. This beast is a beast. Every time I drive it, I beat the crap out of this thing. It scares me. My wife told me that I need to stop driving it like I stole it and start driving it like I own it. Today, I took it out, I thrashed it, and pulled it here in the shop. And for some reason, I don't have reverse. I have first, second, third, and fourth, but I just can't get reverse. So the linkage is stuck under there. It's jammed into something. I tried to put it on the lift, and that didn't work out for me. And my lift's broke. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I've got some rods I have to adjust. Every time I try to set it down, it doesn't want to unlock, and it kind of throws things at a tilter. And I had this on there, and that scared me. I thought for sure I was going to lose the car off from it because it started really teetering. You can see the uprights kind of like doing a little twisting. So I got that car off there as quick as I could, and I'm going to be working on that lift a little bit and try to get that dialed in, you know. But anyway, in my video, at the end of my video, I noticed that there's only like 8 minutes of video there, and I like to have like 20. So I thought I would go ahead and just sit here and jabber away. Some people enjoy it, some don't. I'm going to tell you a little story about a car. I like telling my car stories, you know, the ones that always get away or stupid things happen to them. Anyway, back in the early 80s, and I do mean 81, which is as early as you can probably get in the 80s, my neighbor
and I were friends, went to school together. We did a lot of stuff together. And his dad got him a '69 Camaro. Now, granted, 12-year-old car, nobody cared about him back then. And it was a decent car. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but man, it was a decent car. And we both drove it off and on. He let me drive it. Sometimes he'd drive it. And one time we were going to a dance in the evening, and it was in the winter. And my girlfriend and his girlfriend lived in the town over from us. And we drove his Camaro, got over there and everything, picked up his girl. And he says, oh, I want to be in the back seat with her. You guys know why. And I said, that's fine, I can drive. So we were coming out of the town there, and some guy in front of me stopped on a dime. And this is winter, and there was snow on the ground. And I couldn't stop the Camaro. Hit the brakes, slid right in the back of a truck. And the hitch went right into the grill. It twisted the bumper up. And I got out, and that guy in the truck got out. And he's like, oh, there ain't nothing wrong with my truck. And he drove off. I'm like, seriously? And I told my buddy, hey, I'll pay for this stuff. You know, I'll get you some new parts and stuff. And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. He drove it for months, like 3 or 4 months after that even. And I told him, I said, man, when are you going to let me buy those parts for you? He said, well, I'm going to take the whole car apart and redo it. And I said, oh, okay. And that's what he did. A few months later, the car was completely disassembled all over in his one-car garage. He took the motor out and had it rebuilt. I can't remember what the motor was. I was thinking it was like a 350. But he had it rebuilt and everything. And it's sitting in his shop under a little cover the motor did for 20 years with that car totally blown apart. And somewhere in the early 2000s, I went to him and said, hey, you're not going to fix the car up, you know, why don't you sell it to me and let me take a shot at it, you know. I like buying cars and restoring them, cutting my teeth on these old things. He says, oh, I'm never going to sell my Camaro. I'm never going to sell my Camaro. I said, oh, I'd really be interested in it. He goes, oh, I'm not going to sell my Camaro. And he started working on it again. He had me come over, and I painted his firewall and his front subframe Emron black. If you ever spray Emron, oh, that's some nasty, nasty stuff. But it looked fantastic. And he quit working on it about a month later. And I seen him later on. I said, man, why don't you just sell me the car and let me put it together? He goes, I'm not going to sell my Camaro. Well, another 5-6 years go by. And I ran into his brother at his car show, and his brother did go to car shows. And I said, man, I can't believe he's not doing anything with that Camaro. And he goes, oh, he sold that. I said, what do you mean he sold that? He goes, yeah, he sold it to a guy he works with. He said that he offered him some money, and he took it. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Well, after the show, and maybe a day or so later, I went over to my friend's house and said, man, you sold your Camaro? He says, yeah, some guy offered me crazy money for it, and I took it. And I'm like, well, what's crazy money? He goes, well, you know, I just sold it. And I said, well, what's the guy's name? Because I'd like to see if I can't buy it from him, because I'd really like to redo that Camaro. He said, oh, I don't know. He doesn't want to be bothered. He wouldn't give me his name or even where the guy lived. And I thought, wow, that's kind of weird, you know, my friend not even give me information to see if I can track it down. A few months goes by, and I seen his other brother, and his other brother says, he didn't want you to have that car. And I said, what do you mean? I said, what'd I ever do to him? He goes, no. He goes, he knew what you can do with a car, and he just did not want to see his Camaro all redone with you driving it around Decatur all the time. And I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, man, I made him a hell of an offer. I told him, you know, whatever I had invested in it, that's what I would sell it to you for if I ever decide to sell it. I would not charge you any labor, any of my time, just parts and whatever I invested in it. I said, I can't believe he didn't go along with that. He goes, well, he just knew what you do to cars, and he didn't want to see them. See you driving it around town and him knowing what he missed out on, which sucks for me, right? You know, I thought he was my friend. And, you know, he still stops out. We still shoot the shit. You know, it's one of those cars that just got away for some stupid reason. So if you watched the video this far, thank you. I think you'll notice a change in this video somewhere near the middle of it. That's because I'm using a different recording device to record this video. My wonderful niece had bought a GoPro 5 years ago, and she hasn't really used it. This is practically a new camera. She bought a lot of accessories for it. It's a pretty nice little kit. There's no way I'm going to use everything, but she ended up selling it to me at what I think was a really good deal. So I thought I would try it out on my first video here. Hope it works out. If you enjoy my videos, like, share, subscribe. Later.